Now we have another report, and I invite Mr. Jānis Vanags also to help us to have some insight in the conference topic, maybe more touching on economical aspect. Hello, dear participants of the conference. I want to thank the organizers for the invitation to participate in the conference and to talk about topical issues for the port. And this theme will be a systemic approach for development of the port. Systemic approach is widely used notion nowadays. However, sometimes we misuse it. We should take into consideration that Riga is a very important and complex object for the development of Riga city. Therefore, I will discuss some theoretical aspects about the systemic approach to the development of Riga port. Some elements in my presentation. First of all, what is a systemic approach? So, a systemic approach, first of all, is awareness of the system, setting of boundaries, and identification of elements. These methods is a set of objects. In the Riga port, the most important element is technical and the socio-economic element. What is system? First of all, system is the set of elements, but only with those which are mutually compatible and complementing each other. And in this system, all the elements work for the common goal. And quantitative and positive effects are set by the goal and mutual compatibility of the elements. Is the port a system? Yes, of course it is. It is the biggest system of Riga city. And Riga city has a system, and Riga port is one of the dominating elements of Riga city system. We heard already different speakers saying that the port of Riga is gradually losing its prevailing importance in the development of the city. Nevertheless, preserving one of the most important meanings of the element of the system, and it will be preserved for the next 100-200 years as such. The port as the system, you can see explanation of the notion. So we could argument in a scientific way about the mission, vision and goal of the port in the future. From what the port as a system consists, that is the set of 5 basic elements, that is social, technical, economical, management and environmental element. They are interacting with each other and making the structure of the port. The port has external environment and internal environment. We have to know that in order to understand why the port is functioning or not. And the internal environment is made by those 5 social, economic, technological, environment elements. External environment is also having elements like positive, negative effects on the port's functioning and also the function of the port and the city and vice versa. And then if we talk about internal environment of the port, it is important to understand that for the internal environment, the port authority is responsible, and only for the port to be able to achieve the goals, for the subjects working in the port to be able to achieve their goals, and for the port to be a good cooperation partner and be effective trading partner with other companies. The authority of the port is responsible. External environment. First of all, Riga City is external environment of the port, and it really affects the development of the port. The port is included also in other systems, transport system, economic element, and EU transport system element. The port is the biggest subsystem of Riga City, and already that was mentioned by the speakers before me, that it is still so, and it is preserved up till now and will be preserved in the next decades. The port and Riga inhabitants. The port without Riga inhabitants would be nothing, but Riga inhabitants could survive without the port. Nevertheless, thanks to the port, as it was mentioned also by the previous speakers, the port grants to Riga City the many growth and is one of the facilitators of the growth and development of the city. If we look at the previous slides that were shown about the geographical location of the port, we can really see that the port has very dynamic, interesting development future. Port infrastructure, very complex issue. For the port to achieve its goals, the special infrastructure should be in place. If we can say that the internal infrastructure is sufficient for the current needs and goals, then the external infrastructure for incoming, outgoing flows to be convenient and rapid and fast is not sufficient yet. Development of the infrastructure, compatibility of the infrastructure, that is one of the important issues of this conference, to find the most suitable way how to develop further on infrastructure of Riga Port, starting from bridges, watercourses, aquatoriums, berths, and main roads, land roads. If we talk about the conception of the port development, then the most important factor there is the competitiveness of the port. So the port should work efficiently enough to be able to compete with other ports in the region and other regions. The most important aspect is to use the opportunities, to cope with the opportunities, and to try to decrease the possible effect, negative effect of the threats to the port development. In the development project, we should see those 5 dimensions. I already mentioned social, technical, economical, management, and environment, because the port is a system and it consists of those dimensions or elements. Here you see a slide of the development model. And again, I emphasize that these elements should be compatible. We do not know a lot of threats that will be there in the future. Therefore, this mutual compatibility is crucial to ensure the vitality of the project in the life. We should be flexible enough to provide the compatibility of those elements in the practice. What are important development aspects? The most important would be the compatibility of the internal and external infrastructure of Riga port, and the compatibility of the port dimensions to the existing threats and possibilities. And if that is done successfully enough, then Riga Port is able to increase its competitiveness not only in Baltic region but all in other regions. Who should work on the project? I had the possibility once to work in the Riga Port Authority, and then the projects were developed by the foreigners. I don't see any need for that. And we can be sure that in Latvia we have sufficiently professional and prepared port development specialists and architects for us to be able to develop development projects of ports of Latvia, not only Riga Port. That is an important issue, and we have to think about that from the perspective of the contracting authority. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Vanaks, for this rational and pragmatic view on the issues of the port without any romance and other visual slides that sometimes disturb to see the connection of the elements. Not all of us are very knowledgeable in this issue to make the right decisions.